Under public comments, we have two individuals in the audience that have signed up to speak. And you can come up to the podium, introduce yourself, and you have try to limit to 3 minutes, but can extend that if needed. You are Mr. William Walter.
Right.
Okay.
Hi. As you know, my name is William Walter. I'm here to address the mask mandate in this school district. It's time to end the mandatory masking for the good of our students, and it's time to let our students decide for themselves. We just said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. It doesn't matter what they're dictating to you in Salem. We have a right to make our own decisions. Okay, what are schools for? Education, learning, critical thinking, making lifelong friends. Yes, all of those things. However, I'm here to talk about only one thing: how critical thinking and how the choice about wearing or not wearing a mask are linked. We all need to be taught some important lessons on critical thinking. And what is the purpose of critical thinking? So we can make decisions, or I should say choices. As students and teachers in Burns Hines School District, we have a perfect opportunity to see the freedom of choice play out. It's a very important choice that each student or teacher should make on his or own thinking, as well as your decisions. I'm talking about the wearing of masks. If they wish to wear one, do so. If they choose not to, then don't wear one. It should be their choice. Why do I say that all should wear one or not? Simple. A Danish study found that 0.014% difference in students getting COVID by wearing or not wearing a mask. The data from other states shows that students, if they do get the virus, it is with few, if any, symptoms. They eat without masks. They remove their masks when they are with friends away from school. It is shown that children need to learn facial expressions, an important part of their recognizing others' feelings. Masks have caused breathing problems, such as the young girl who passed out at the finish line from running with a mask on, right over in Bend. I'm having a problem just standing here breathing. I say, and I say it loudly, the critical thinking gives the students and teachers the right to their free choices to wear or not to wear a mask. We need every classroom and every person in each school have the right to decide without interference from those whose choices are different. I strongly urge you to remove the mask mandate and let the students and teachers decide for themselves, no matter what you're getting information from Salem, no matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Chris Wiseman.
Hi, I'm Chris Weissman. I'm the father of a girl that goes to Burns High School. Got a great principal back here, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I am here to ask about section 1975.3 in OSHA, which says that OSHA has no jurisdiction over its customers of a business, and why we're pushing these mandates on our kids from OSHA when they have no jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction over all the employees of the business, all the people that serve food, all the teachers. On top of the fact that you guys have been put in the front of the line for vaccines, so if you wanted one, you've already been able to get one. It's ridiculous that we're still pushing these things on our kids. You know, and talk about they're pushing gun legislation because kids are dying. Kids are depressed. They're breathing their own garbage all day long. They've been stuck like this for over a year. You know, and little kids, like I said, little kids. Well, little kids right now that can't see or smile when they're walking in the store, let alone in school. mean, this is just ridiculous, and everyone just sat by and let it happen, right? Everyone reacted out of fear, and that's normal. But it's been a year. There's enough proof that these things really don't do anything. They're a real waste of time. Matter of fact, for some people, they're unhealthy. And I got 25 years doing power plants, right? So I've done a lot of confined space. If you know anything about confined space, you have to be fit test to wear a respirator. You have to be fit test because it can cause breathing issues. You're only allowed to wear it for so many hours. That's what's in the OSHA standard for a respirator. And a respirator is any mask that has more than 2 straps. So even those little things, because there's 4 straps, are considered a respirator by OSHA. They're not following their own rules and they're shoving them down on all of us. You guys, it's tough enough. You signed up for it, right? And you guys should be fighting back. And I think all of us, well, most of us would help you fight back. But these are kids we're talking about. And it's just ridiculous, especially teenagers having all kinds of issues right now. We don't need to add more. So I know it's tough to push back, and some of you may not want to. Some of you may just be happy with the way it is. A lot of us aren't. We're done with it. And we'd like to help. And we'd be willing to help. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Comments from the board? Move on. The consent agenda, which can be approved all in one motion. Meetings from the following meetings: April 13th, 2021, regular board meeting. April 13th, 2021, budget committee meeting, number 1. And April 20th, 2021, budget committee number 2. Budget committee meeting number 2. And the April 2021 financial reports and bills. And extra duty contracts for VHS, Hines Middle School, Slater.
Everybody have a chance to go over that? Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as it was presented.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports and presentations, school student services reports. Carrie Danchuk.
Get a gold star for saying my last name right. So I do have a presentation. I wish you guys could see it because it's kind of fun.
I'm gonna turn the TV off.
Can you a little bit? Okay. Just don't take it off the stage. I'll try to break it.
Yeah.
I think getting wheels lost. All right. I'm Carrie. I work at the high school and I'm the health sciences teacher and was recruited very heavily by Mr. Quick to be in charge of this said committee. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I said, be prepared for some maybe far out there ideas of things we should try as a group. So anyway, here's what we did for the school year. We did not go to Glacier National Park. I did. So. Click. Okay.
Why aren't you moving?
You don't get zero control. So who are we? Collection of Harney County School District number 3 employees, including teachers, a librarian, and Mr. Quick. Meetings are open to everyone who wants to have a voice in what we do for monthly activities. And hopefully we all know what that village is there. Who though? All right, what is our mission? A healthy staff is a healthy staff is a happier staff. We want everyone to know they can work on their fitness just by doing some simple things every day. And you'll see farther into the slideshow what teachers and staff did during spring break that are considered healthy, whether it's physical, mental, etc. We also want to expose everyone to activities within our county that can be done outdoors that people probably don't realize you can do here. Need a bell, ding. All right, so fitness tracking. Came to a meeting, several app ideas, how to track our activities. Major hitch was finding apps that track our activities where there is no cell service indoor Wi-Fi. Oops. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I have like 4 of them on my phone wherever I go shed hunting, and none of them worked because there's no cell phone service. So we're gonna look at something better for that. Snowshoeing, probably our most popular activity we did so far. I mean, I think the camp will be fun too. And some of us have never snowshoed before. And can I just say, I'm instantly hooked. It's one of the greatest activities ever. And oh, my sidekick's not here. Miss McFetridge, we're gonna do a GoFundMe so she can get her own pair of snowshoes. But anyway, perfect day, went to the snow park at Iowa. We've never been up there. Go out there and park, and you basically snowshoe down the road all the way to the pavilion. And can I just say, it's so much easier on snowshoes and trying to trudge around like normal. Great, yeah, so yeah, I'm hooked. And there's some of our pictures of people we had. So Mount Here Wildlife Refuge, bird watching and strolling. This got postponed a couple of times because of weather. We thought we had the perfect weekend picked. Well, the road is paved with good intentions. After a blustery, snowy drive, we had a little small group, literally 3 cars. We went out there, met with the head bird person that was at the refuge that day. And I mean, it was still kind of snowy, windy. It was just not ideal. So, you know, you guys explored that pond, I think, briefly. I opted to go drive elsewhere, which is why I made the comment, drove to find birds without freezing and causing a hypothermic emergency in the process. It was pretty cold. So I drove elsewhere and kind of ditched my colleagues, only to find out they ditched each other later. So the weather was crummy, but we found things in the area we could look at. Slow cows on the road. Some people don't use commas, and that's okay. But there are some cranes and pelicans. Getting a little like happy there. Yeah. So the weather wasn't perfect, but you know what? In the refuge, it can be horrible weather, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it's still good to be out there. Spring Break Wellness Challenge. We basically put it up to every school and every department to come up with a photo thing of everything that they did. So Slater Elementary, here's what people did. Amber Kohler did a lot of playing with her dog, and all you dog owners know that takes a substantial amount of energy to deal with. Deb Pfeiffer was with her sister. This is in Bend, not sure where this is exactly. Tori Fenn was touring schools with her daughter Rachel, who was going to University of Nevada, Reno. It was a lot of walking for the whole day. Karen Cluse went to go watch Emmett compete. I believe he's still at Western Oregon competing. And so she spent time there. Jilly Withy had her dogs taking her for a walk, or she was walking her dogs, I don't know which it was, but good picture. Linda Pellery put her grandkids to work. Randy Johnson went and worked out on their family ranch. And then Hines. We have Vicky, although I think I found out son Vicky's secret. If she's gone for an extended lunch, she's probably golfing. I'm sure. But anyway, she went. Savannah, I forget where she said that picture was taken, but kind of cool, out of state, where she went for that. Corey, who was in the valley visiting family, and she also went skiing. Colleen and Eric, they said they went to Arizona, and they said that's the only picture they took. I find that, you know, it's like shocking. It's like, no, there's got to be more than that. But anyway, Burns High School. Here's what we got. Lexi Rivera worked at her boyfriend's ranch. Again, dog walking part of there's kind of a theme of dogs in this here a little bit. Amy Smith, she was at track meets, or that was cross country at that time. That's right, and she would go back and forth at different points to catch pictures of her son. And then they went for spring break down to Family Ranch in Texas, where they did they did hog hunting. They did just a bunch of stuff. I went with my brother. I told him he was in the presentation and he had no choice. But we go shed hunting, and this was in Central Oregon, and found, I think that's actually a sheep track by my foot. Didn't see the sheep, and we did find one fresh elk shed. This was in March, which was weird, in an alfalfa field. I'm not going to tell you which field, but anyway, that's not. Diana Bates went to the coast with her family. Aaron told, okay, so little Joseph. Okay, I mean, he just looks like so much love and energy there, so, but he's definitely kept her busy. Okay, a bit of an explanation on this. Tara and Doug Brown. Tara works at the high school. Doug, he's actually with the transportation as a substitute bus driver. They were training, anybody know what those are?
Shake and bake.
Shake and bake. So they were getting fire training for fire driving, so that's not them. I found that. All right, so district office, Brenda, that's you in that one picture. Okay, yeah, there you go. All right, so Melanie, I wish she was here to, she can explain this better. She went and bought a new couch and she said it was the best mental health decision she's made in a long time. Physically, she didn't lift it, somebody else did, but you know, just putting it in the right place made her happy. That's important. Megan went to Arizona with Charlie, and there's some really cool pictures from their trip. There's a lot of hiking involved. Mr. Quick had the grandkids to keep him busy. So in snow and sunshine, lots of playing time. So our next adventure, we're going to the Limit Lake, and that's going to be 21st. I don't have my dates at this point. Yeah, we're leaving out, those that want to camp on Thursday night, we're going to camp for a couple of days. So we will be camping, fishing, hiking, and then we'll do some kayaking, canoeing, etc. Just whatever the staff wants to do, whoever wants to go do things, it's the perfect way. I think we can drive up there now, we'll find out. So what lies in our future, I mean, one of our goals is to try to get our County Fitness facility to knock down the price, like for all the staff that want to get it. We want to find apps that actually work in the middle of nowhere, but then again, who wants to have their secret location found out? But though, actually, this is my appeal to the board. Actually, we'd like extra funding from the school board so we can go to where Amy Smith's family ranch is in Texas, so we can go hog hunting or armadilloing. I don't know if that's really a thing, but it should be. But basically, catch and release of armadillos.
Can I come?
I'll see if they can do that. So anyway, but we have a lot of other things that kind of been planned. I mean, in all seriousness, that would be great. We don't have armadillos around here, but you know, if anything, it was a good morale booster. I mean, a few of us could have gone out and probably walked more, done more in our goals, and get more people involved and not be afraid to go out and enjoy things with each other. So it was fun, and we appreciate that we were able to do that. So questions?
No, thank you very much. Okay. Next up, number 5 is the superintendent's report.
Right, so I have a few items here. I did attend a OSBA new board orientation. We have a few new board members coming on into the board in July or August when we have our first meeting, and so sat through a great presentation on things that we need to make sure we include within that presentation. So that being said, I'm hoping that we can set up a July retreat with the board, myself, maybe the principals, and sit down for at least a day and kind of go over priorities and kind of where we're at together as a board, and set some goals together and do that. So that would be in July, and I think Randy's talking about maybe set something forward. Back to the exact date. So I assume everybody would be interested in it, some type of a retreat to do something like that. Done in the past, it's been really amazing. Met with the DHEA last night for the teacher bargaining. That was our first meeting. We scheduled 3 more for the future, and we meet with the classified union next week. So it's going to be a busy next month and a half of settling contracts, and well, hopefully settling contracts. That's the ultimate goal. Good group of people, and we're hoping that we can keep things going well. I spoke with the county librarian in the last couple months here. We signed another 2-year project cool agreement with them, so our students are able to check out books through the Sage library system and get them at school, and I think they actually have access to our books as well that are within our system. So we share our books essentially. But part of their strategic plan is to kind of expand services out into the Hines area. So people, like right now, people in Burns can easily access the Burns Library. It's a little further, obviously, for the Hines people. So she is looking at maybe a potential partnership with the high school, creating a a public / school library there where they would provide a part-time librarian, move their teenage collection into the high school library. And so I just really curious from the board if you would support me moving forward with a potential partnership like that. You know, it would take really, you know, there's some security things to worry about, and there's a lot of things to consider, but I think they're a good enough partnership that they're willing to work with us and make it happen. We might have to adjust some entryways and adjust some security protocols, but I think it could be really cool. So
I don't see any problem in looking into it further and
nice. They'll be super excited. I
get
know I
some
am.
details.
It really will give our chance for our high school library to kind of get rejuvenated. It's a pretty out of the box kind of an idea, but I think we can, I'm excited. The other thing is really, we talk about under discussion is that this building, as well as the TVCC building next to the high school. And we can discuss that later on, but there's some potential, and I'll just tell you right off the bat with the economic development group, I did sign an agreement with, I think they call it, it's a Brownsville assessment.
Yep.
So they're gonna come in on next week, do a more in-depth survey of our facility in terms of asbestos in here. We had it done last month, but it was more of a pretty superficial, it's a 3-year test, but these guys are gonna really dig in and see. So if we do end up selling the property, a developer would have a more detailed idea of where exactly the best asbestos is and what it entails. So I will hold off any other discussion until we convene the meeting. Okay.
Questions, comments from the board? Okay, next item is action items under donations. We have one. Under donations, donation to the Harney County School District number 3 from the Harney County Farm Bureau, a donation of Burns High School FFA jackets with a total value of $550.
Make a motion, we accept the donation.
1 second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept a donation of $550 in FFA jackets for Burns High School. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. OPG contract renewal.
That's Kara.
Okay.
We were thinking we had one more year on a contract here, but we had only done a 2-year contract. And I'll just say that Kara has been outstanding, working with our finances, jumping in where the ESD left off. So it's been great to have her on board, and this just renews that contract for another 2 years.
Do you want to do
This
it
time.
again?
I appreciate it. That's good.
I'll make a
Mr.
motion.
Gunderson likes to know if you guys really want the job.
I think so. I think we're good. I'll make a motion to renew that contract for Ulster Professional Group for 3 years.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to renew the Ulster Professional Group contract for 3 years. I assume that's July 1.
Yes.
Okay. The 3 years beginning July 1 of 2021. All those in favor? Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under number 8, close the US bank account.
Really the impetus behind this is the fees from US Bank have been getting kind of ridiculous. And so we have other banks that we operate with, so we'll just use our other banks instead of US Bank.
And they're gonna go up if we don't close it, because we don't use it enough.
Yeah, so it's some money that we don't handle enough, and they're wanting to raise the fees, so roll it into another one, okay?
A motion to close the US bank account.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the US bank account for the Harney County School District number 3. All those in favor, and seconded, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No. All right, I don't care. Under surplus items, we have a 2000 Ford Ranger with snowplow as is, and a Gulbranson piano. Did I get close?
I'll make a motion to surplus both of those items.
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to surplus the 2000 Ford Ranger with snowplow as is and the Culbertson piano. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Under personnel. New hires. Rebecca Birch, Slater Elementary School.
Oh,
Got together.
Okay, Rebecca Birch, Slater Elementary School teacher. Kelly Wheel, Slater Elementary teacher. Nicolette Henshaw, K-12 Child Development Specialist. And resignations, Louise Lowry, Special Ed teacher.
Two of those teacher hires have taught in our schools before. Did they come looking for us or did we recruit them? I thought that was great to get people back.
I read one, when I was cleaning out my emails, and I know one was just, had moved away and it's just moving back. I don't know just for this job or not, but the family was returning to Harney County.
But both of them are definitely, yeah, coming here. And I think they have been here in the past. and So excited to see the new openings that were posted. and apply, so thanks.
I move to accept the new hires and resignations as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the new hires and the one resignation as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. VHS field trip out of state. Robin Leonardo.
Explanation of the simply by board policy, whenever we go out of state, you need board approval for travel. So I would recommend that we allow Mrs. Leonardo to take her students on this field trip to the Boise area.
What is it?
Wahoos?
Club or class or?
It's a part of special ed.
Okay. Special ed field trip to the Boise area.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the field trip as read.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the VHS field trip out of state with Robin Leonardo. Chaperone, I guess, or leader. Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, that's- Discussion and or new business under board policy first read. Read.
yeah, we just got these from OSBA.
Yeah, these weren't included in your online agenda, correct?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, they were.
Yep,
She sent them out early.
I did.
Okay, number one, policy CBA, qualifications and duty of the superintendent is highly recommended. Policy IIBGA, electronic communication systems required. Policy IIBGA-AR1, electronic communication systems required. Policy IIBGA-AR2, computer internal guidelines, well, internet, what did I do? Policy IIBGA-AR3, sample parent letter and use agreements. Policy IIBGA-AR4, staff computer acceptable use policy. Policy INDB, flag displays and salutes, optional. Policy JGA, corporal punishment, optional. Policy JHCA/JHCB, immunization, physical examination, vision screening, eye examination, and dental screening, optional.
I'll just note on these that it says optional or required policies that exist in your current policy manual. So I would just encourage you to read through them. I read through them here the last couple of days after they were sent out to you. I see a couple items that need change. If you notice any particular yourself before that second read pops up, please let me know. Especially under the computer items. I talk about chat rooms. I just think they could be a little bit more clear. To say that our students can't be in a chat room. No, we're in CDL, like they're in a chat with the teacher, so you can't really say you can't be in a chat room. I just think you need some clarification on what.
Especially where we went through it this past year.
Yeah.
On the JHCA, JHCB, wasn't that the one that we did some tweaking to when Sarah was on the board. Was it seems like,
Immunization. part.
Yeah.
I remember something with immunization. So
it seems like, or maybe that, I don't remember.
it might have been something to do with.
Brenda said she
Medication
would look under the-
administration.
Under the minutes and stuff.
Yeah,
You want to see what?
Yeah.
Recommendation.
yeah.
It might have been a completely different.
It could have been, for some reason, I'm thinking it might have had something to do with medication.
Definitely in her field.
Yeah.
Even on this one, I mean, it'll say she's suggesting change from grades. We have currently 6 through 12 and the OSBA say no, they should be grade 7, but ultimately we provide activities in grade 6, which is why we have the 6. So there's a
Right.
few changes like that that we need to go through and change to make sure
Okay.
they're applicable to our district.
Board member to read through those policies before the second read, which will be next meeting. Make any notes you would like adjustments made on.
One of the things, I felt like the electronic communications policies, I mean, parts of them, the ARs were antiquated, like you said. When it talks about the internet usage, and be kicked off the internet, well, how do they use their Chromebooks if they can't get on the internet? And some of the terminology, like chat rooms and explaining what the internet is.
That's the same thing.
And so I would be open for a second read to some suggestions if you look through that. Because a lot of that, I mean, there's 10 pages worth of policy for electronic communications. And are we seriously going to kick them off the internet because they didn't use proper pronouns in their email? I thought that was a little unnecessary.
I'll work with Andy about with these two as well, because I think I'm with you. I think they need to be updated. a lot.
Well, those when you have like something on there as far as they look for keywords.
Yeah.
And
Right. We definitely have filter systems that are in place. Hopefully, we have to stay in compliance with the federal CIPA.
Anything else on the first read of the 9 policies? If not, we'll move on to item number 13, Lincoln Building / District Office. I know Steve has some information here. I can chime in a little bit, and hopefully all of us can chime in. And get something going here. Right. I'm sure everybody on the board realizes that the building we're currently sitting in is in trouble.
So, and that's really what we discussed over and over about this building, what's the lease or not to lease, not to lease or to build, what do we do? Talking to Wade, we were able to get the boilers to work this year. They did kind of a rebuild on the tubes in there. I mean, it's a really, really old boiler. Even with the rebuild, and he had to put some extra caulking type material in there to seal these tubes, they still sprung a leak, and so he just doesn't believe that the next time it gets worked on this summer, that it would even pass the inspection for the fall. So we're just worried that if we try to get the boiler up and going for next year, it's not going to pass inspection, and then we're going to be left like, hey, what do we need to do here? Kind of high and dry. So I believe we need to look at a different location for the long term.
so did you ever hear anything back from, didn't you talk to Rob Paramore?
I did, yeah. I think he put a number of ballpark figure on the whole block with the building. And he could list it probably for, $800,000.
Listed.
Listed. It was super hard for him to get comparables for it, of course. But it would be one of those things as a board, you'd have to decide how you want to list it, what kind of your bottom line is. You put it out for just to a realtor and wait for that to happen.
What are the expenses again yearly on it? Just heat, isn't it like 60 grand or something?
I don't know if you can see this right now. So the last 3 years, in 18-19 was about 42,000. 19-20 was 36,000, and it's estimated for this year to be about 45,000.
I think it's a no-brainer to move out.
And I don't know if we'll save a ton of money. The lease that I looked into, we'll pop in here to this particular building.
You're all aware that, the office, they moved the human services down to the old Wagner building. On the south end of it is an open portion. You are talking down there, right?
Yep.
The south end closest to the Reed's Country Store. Steve, did anybody go with you? Yeah.
I've had several employees go over there and check it out with me. It's the same.
That's one that's available.
That would be one that gives us, I would say, the most flexibility, a nice spot that's central to the district, looks very professional, and it's the owner right now would lease, with just looking for a longer term lease with us, but he's also willing to build the suit. And so if you look within the building itself, you'd still be able to use his reader board, he said. You could probably update the sign outside, I'll put our logo, our name on there. Within the building, this is from the front of the store looking towards the back. Doesn't really give you a super good perception of how big it is, but it's a large space. This is kind of looking at, the front door is kind of off and to the right there. We could easily partition part of this huge room off to work towards our K-8 program that we're starting up in this fall. That needs kind of a space to grow in. I think this would offer that option for that space to grow in for people that are not going to Slater, not going behind, but they're working specifically with Liz Gear to be able to come in and work in groups. Would look pretty good.
It's a good central location. My question is, there's been a lot of talk, not just here, but just around about what we're gonna do with this building. Has there been any like private party shown any interest?
Yeah, so I've had two developers contact me, and since our last meeting, I had another one contact me just to make sure we are still looking at it, putting it on the market.
I mean, is that an option?
Oh, sure, that's,
As a board, you can certainly do that, yeah.
sure.
And I think one thing that we can use executive session for is to discuss real estate transactions, and while maintaining the greatest amount of transparency, I hope we'll be cautious about talking about it too in depth, because like you said, we can list it for 800,000. Well, if we know it's a lemon, we don't want to scare off some buyer that's in the audience. You know what I mean? So,
Great, you guys.
but would we have to, that economic development department and the Brownsville deal, would we need to do things like that if we were going to try to go the private party route?
What that would do is it would help us sell to a private party, because it would allow that private party to have full disclosure of exactly what needs to be done if you sell the building.
Anybody that's gonna buy any kind of property nowadays, you know, if they got cash in their pocket, you don't have to worry about it. If they're gonna finance anything, the lender's gonna say, I need a environmental assessment study done, and especially on a building this old, where there's been boilers and.
And probably the upside of this one is asbestos is really the only environmental hazard in the building. It's been abated, it's covered, it's fine to be in here now, but the boiler uses an above ground tank for the heating oil, so if it was below ground, now you're getting into some other issues, but above ground, I don't think it would be a big deal to deal with the boiler issue.
But basically, the space we're talking about there meets your needs as a district office.
Right. So
So
what they would,
it would allow us, I would think, and he's willing to, when he says build a suit, he's talking about the office walls and stuff inside. Restrooms are ADA accessible and we're good there.
yeah, so you can see he's still got installation,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
still working on it here up front, but they're willing to, in the front section of the building there, to build 4 different office spaces for us, as well as partition separate kind of space for that homeland program. And then in the back section here, this is the back, we feel like this would be a perfect spot to bring our old filing cabinets and old things that we have to keep for
Austerity.
forever, most of it.
Would there be room for board meetings?
Yeah,
So, I mean, obviously on a big one, we could move to a different location, but
so really that whole space in the middle there would be open for a board meeting. There are plugins throughout the floor there, where you're like 10, 12 feet, there's plugins.
well, my personal opinion is we need, as a board, we need to make a decision on whether we're getting out of here in the time frame. And I'm stressing we get out of here before the start of the next school year. And then let the realtors and Mr. Quick take over on trying to get this property sold. If we have to sign did he mention a lease term in
He was
years?
talking about 5-year lease,
Okay,
just because he's putting some substantial money into.
well, as a longtime commercial property owner in Hardin County, that's a very short period of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 10 years.
And then if the building sells, the board, hopefully some of them are still on it by that time, could look at buying or building something down we got a lot of property down at that bus barn on West Pierce.
Mhm.
And, I looked into the modular offices, the time frame. If you're gonna order something to meet your specs, we couldn't have it by fall. So that's just my suggestion to the board is we, make a decision in or out of this building and go ahead and pursue the lease with, I don't know who owns it.
Prices.
Three brothers.
Yeah, it's three brothers.
Go ahead and pursue it. Somebody online raised their hand. Oh, yeah, let them speak.
Let's see if I can do that.
Okay.
Stop sharing real quick.
We're trying to get somebody online here.
So Andy, you're feel free to unmute if you'd like to say anything about the building in terms of technology. You know that when we looked into, we were looking at the modular unit, putting it over there by the bus garage, maybe fixing up that property a little bit as an option. Putting in internet over there. We have E-rate funds to do right now. The building over the old Wagner building, we were kind of worried that we were gonna have to put it over there and we hadn't applied for E-rate money yet. However, it's already hooked up through our same provider.
It is. We can actually get emergency funding as well through E-rates. I found out last week.
Run that by me again.
We can actually apply for emergency E-rate funding to get the project funded as well at the Wagner building.
Okay, nice. Is there anything else you want to say about the internet, the technology for that building over there?
Other than the fact that we're going to have to get an electrician in to get it wired up properly, we're going to need access point drops. We're going to need drops for like printers and things like that. But other than that, I mean, that building's, it's in good shape. I mean, we're going to get a network closet put in, hopefully, if we move into that building. That's going to be in the back where Steve was talking about the storage area. We'll probably get that area air conditioned and sectioned off from the rest of the building so that we can keep it secure. But other than that, yeah, the fiber, we've already got fiber on site from our provider. The owner actually said they would build a conduit for us so we can actually run the fiber to the building where we'd be housed. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much we need to do there other than get, like I say, get an electrician in and get all that type of stuff taken care of.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Yep.
And when it comes down to, once a decision's made, whether to get out of this building or not, still gonna be a lot of stuff in here that we gotta get rid of. And we'd have to decide on if it's all gonna be surplus or how we get rid of it. I don't know how much stuff's in some of these rooms, but just walking around, some developer's not gonna wanna have all these old desks and either have a big yard sale or whatever the law allows us to do to get rid of all this stuff in here. Might help pay for some of the moving costs of the new place.
So I know, yeah, I think makes a lot of sense to get out of the old dilapidated building. The questions I'm sure I'll hear just talking with community members is what all the options are. If we're gonna get into a long-term lease and, it's a substantial amount of money, tens of, I don't know how much you say. If it's gonna be a wash with what we are right now, I'd like to kind of know what that dollar figure is, and because an alternative could be, reconfigure if we're talking about 4 people, configure something at, the high school or something. So I know that'll come up, and I just wondering why that wouldn't be an option, at least in the short term, if we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars a year in savings.
Right, and I don't know if it'd be savings. So if you look at the amount of money we spent here the last 3 years, it would be that amount or a hair less
Well, I think
probably.
what Dan's saying is
Is
to
that
sell this to the community when they're out there talking, they say, why don't they just move into
Yeah,
4 empty classrooms at the high
Yeah.
school?
yeah. And I guess if
And that's a legitimate point. We want to make sure we're able to answer those questions when they come up, whether they're where you work or where I work.
yeah.
I would like to see a breakdown of the space needed to house district operations and the space available already within the district and what the cost of something like the Wagner building would be. And I think if we're gonna pursue a long-term lease, we have to approve our budget at the next meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, the June, yeah.
Might be nice to consider that cost before we approve that budget, so that we don't have to go back and fidget with it. So if we could see those figures sooner rather than later, I would think that would be ideal.
That's a good point. If you go with it, and they're talking, I don't know what long-term is in your mind, 5 years is. If I'm a building owner, I want at least, and I'm gonna do some work, I want that at least that much. But I agree 100% that we need to be able to say that was our best option financially based on the space needed. So we put a little something together for us.
And I could do that. I think with the person that owns the building now, I think I just need permission to kind of work with him and put together a potential lease, so you can say, hey, here's something we want to do or not, and sign on a dotted line next.
Let's have a motion that gives Steve the power to work with a lease but not sign a lease. Or can we just give that power?
I don't think we need a motion.
Yeah.
Spending money.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go that way. Let's get some numbers together, and sizes. There. Okay. Anybody have anything else? Our next meeting is June 8th, 6 o'clock, right here. We won't be out of here before June 8th. We'll be right here at 6 o'clock. Meeting adjourned.